I don't like that I do this. I hope that one day I'm able to do this. Like, if it's yours, it's already within you.
That's
You
right.
just have to nurture it. You have to take care of it. And it starts with taking care of yourself.
Well, Lauren, it is great to have you on the Dream Lifestyle podcast. How are you doing?
Thank you, brother. I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited about our conversation and just the journey that we've both been on, seeing you do what you do best and just being able to be a part of it now in this podcast episode. So thank you for having me.
Of course. No, it really is incredible. Obviously, we've known each other for a long time, so of course, when we first met each other, it was like, ball is life and UVA and all these things. Now it's just like,
Exactly.
wow, like years have passed and things are very different. We're in similar spaces and coaching and basically just helping people take that next step. And so it's amazing. I believe this conversation is going to be really relevant. I think it's going to be really transformative for a lot of people. And, so our topic today, we are talking about simply breaking toxic cycles by way of unlearning. All right. But we're really just focusing on breaking toxic cycles. And so before we even get into the topic, I want to just ask, and we ask this with all of our guests when we first start off, when did you start building your dream lifestyle?
Yeah, that's very interesting timing because just yesterday I was going through my notes in my phone and I keep these notes of like show ideas. And it started in the spring of 2022. And when I saw that yesterday, I was like, I feel like that's when things changed for me. Like that is when I started realizing that, the lifestyle I was living isn't the lifestyle I want to live for the rest of my life, right? Like, granted, that was years ago. You grow and you learn, but it was by seeing an idea that was bigger than myself that made me think, okay, it's time to start building what it's going to take to not only get you here, but to sustain these dreams, these goals that you have. Because like we're talking about like a show idea. Like I I don't know if y'all may not know me, but like director, producer, writer, people like all the things that go into that, I have no idea. But when you get just felt like a divine like information, like download, overload, whatever, of just like a show, it was like, okay, something's happening here and I want to be a part of it.
That's beautiful. No, I love that. And I appreciate you sharing that. What I appreciate about your answer is that it's not the traditional, I started building my dream lifestyle when I was a teenager and things like that. But
Mhm.
it's a thing of like, no, like kind of recently within the last 2 years is when I would say I've been intentional with what I was building.
Oh yeah,
Because, whether we want to admit it or not, we're all building, like all of us.
for
It's
sure.
the question just is, are we being intentional with what we're building? And so with you getting a download like a show, now all of your actions, all of your plans and strategies are aligned just with that strategy. And so, to kind of tie in our topic for today, just concerning breaking toxic cycles and really unlearning, talk with me just about how this topic of unlearning played into your process of building your dream lifestyle.
Yeah, so I'm from New Jersey originally, and some of you guys know, some of you might not know, but I went to University of Virginia for undergrad, grad school at Maryland. But after that, there was like this in between. It was right after COVID. I was living in Baltimore, working in Baltimore as a journalist, and I got a remote job, and I was making a little money. And I was like, you know what? I think I want to leave. Like I think it's time for me to leave the East Coast. And I started looking where I wanted to go and I ended up in Austin, Texas, where I am now. And it was in Austin where I wanted to get to know myself. I felt like for so long as an athlete, growing up playing basketball your entire life, and you're finding out you have these other skills, right? Like also worked in broadcasting. And so you're finding out you have these other skills, but I'm realizing that the only reason why I'm doing these things, or the only reason why I decided to do these things, was because people said I was good at it. People were like, "Oh, Lauren, you're tall. You should play basketball." That's how I started playing basketball. I was taller than everyone in my class. Okay, great. I was 5 years old. Cool. As I continue to do that, as I continue to seek in or look into the things that I was good at, I just always remembered it was someone told me, someone gave me this validation, someone planted this seed, which is great. I'm grateful for, the lifestyle that I've been able to have and the people I've been able to meet through saying yes to those things. But for once, when I moved here in Austin, it was December 2021. I just remember this shift of like, I need to get to know Lauren, not the athlete, not the journalist, not the youngest child of her family, not, like everything I did was connected to something and someone. And when I understood that, one, I didn't know myself, I knew that, like, okay, there are some things that I've placed higher that I need to actually bring back down to reality, like bring yourself back down. So for me, it started with identity. It started with trying to figure out who am I on the inside and would I even like myself? Like, would I even like myself? So,
Wow. No, that's powerful. And the one thing that I in what your story showed me was just being like all of us need to have a level of gratitude just concerning the voices that we have.
of course.
Because I'm certain there's people listening to us now that they might have discovered just from your story, like, wow, there have been a lot of people that have kind of told me, oh, you're good at that, so go do it. And they've been successful like you have. And I think a lot of times we hear about that type of experience and it going left,
Oh, yeah.
right? So it's like, man, thank God for the people that sowed good seeds into us, even
Yeah.
when we didn't know ourselves, and like just how quickly that could have, just gone the wrong way. Go ahead.
And even to that point, it's like, I was just thinking about this literally this past week. I think I was having a conversation with someone of like, even to that point, like you don't know how God uses people because God uses people, right? To do what it is that he wants to do here on earth. He uses people. You hear about the stories where people are like, I just got this random, check in my mailbox, or I did X, Y, and Z. Like it requires people's hearts to do those things. And so while I am extremely grateful for the seeds that were planted and those who watered, right? I also, you get to the point on the inside that the things, the pats on the back, the signed jerseys, the degrees, they don't make you who you are. What you do doesn't make you who you are. And when there is this separation of what you do and who you are, I think it leads you down this path of who am I?
That's good. Now, what allowed you to even become aware that you didn't know who you were? Like, so you told the story, right, where you said, okay, you finally moved and you were kind of on this space of, I'm gonna figure out who Lauren is. Talk with us about just what even allowed you to become aware to even ask yourself that or even go on that journey.
Yeah, I think I always kind of talk about like this feeling like so when I moved here, um, I think you get into this point of feeling like you're losing control a little bit. Like you can't get a grip on things, you can't get a grip on your emotions, you can't get you might feel a little guilty even, or like you have these conflictions all the time. Like, okay, I'm doing what I've always been doing, but something within me is changing, and now I feel convicted, or now I feel conflicted, and now I don't know whether I should serve this person or stand on my boundaries. I don't like you just continuously feel double-minded, and that's I will say that's how that was my experience, right? For others, there may be like this frustration, there may be this isolation and lonely seasons, right? Where you're like, well, I feel like I don't have any friends, or I feel like my friends can't be there for me in a certain season when you're kind of going through this process. But for me, it was like, I am losing it. Like I'm doing what I've always done, but for some reason, these things are not it.
Wow. So I think in what I'm hearing that a person can know that they need to basically go on a self-discovery journey when they find themselves consistently in a space of internal conflict where they want to people please, but somehow internally like that just feels wrong. Like there's always like this war within self over like simple things. Like I think
But things
if
that
I'm
you've been
understanding.
doing, like you like, and that's when we talk about like this cycle, right? Like you've been doing these things. You don't might not remember when you started, but it's become, second nature sometimes, and it becomes your comfort, even though you might be like, I don't really want to do this, but because I've always done it, or because I'm good at it, like, you find excuses. And I think that is that internal conflict of like, well, I'm doing this, but I don't feel like I'm actually supposed to be.
That's good. Now, my question to you is when someone becomes aware of the fact that of their internal conflict,
Mhm.
and now we're talking about just unlearning. So they've identified, whether it's an action, a behavior, a thought, whatever it is, they're like, okay, I need to unlearn. I believe that there's a number of people who they stay in that spot with that negative thing just because they don't know what's the new thing to learn. So, how did you, and then how can someone basically find that new thing to learn to replace it?
Woo, it's a process. And sometimes it takes a while. And so before I even answer, I want to say patience. Like you need patience. It's the fruit of the spirit for a reason. We don't like it all the time, but you got to be patient. Not, and I don't even say not with yourself. You need to be patient with God. Like if you're going to God about these things, like you have to trust that one, He wants what's good for you. But it's also in His timing, and He is not man, right? Like He's not sitting here watching the clock. But in regards to, those steps, when I started my process of unlearning, you know, the power and the value that I placed in identity, because that was my thing. Not in titles, I should say. I placed like the titles I gave myself and other people gave me, I placed my identity in that. And so I had to one, unlearn, figure out the value, the true value of those things. And then you begin to seek truth, right? So now I'm going to the word, right? I'm going to the one who created me to figure out who you say that I am, right? And I think, and in the process, you figure out what skills you have, what you're good at, the gifts you have, things that are uniquely yours. But in my process, it looked like that. And then it also looks like getting help, like because you sit with these emotions, right? You talk about getting stuck in those negative feelings, like, I'm supposed to navigate these feelings. Like, I don't feel like I belong here, or I don't know where I belong yet. And I'm kind of in between. It's like, okay, well, let's get a foundation. What are your needs in this season? Like when I work with clients, we're constantly talking about what do you need in this season? Every season looks different. So you have to set a foundation. What do you need in this season? Why are you striving for the things that you're striving for? Like as a commentator, a freelance commentator for the past 6 years, I'm looking at myself like, why are you doing this? And it's not a bad thing. It's not like you can't not do it once you figure out the why, but understanding why you're doing something is also going to help you stay persistent in it. And then also I got help. Okay. I got help two separate times. Um, I'm gonna be vulnerable. I got help when I first moved to Austin because I was in a new city and I'm a single girl. Like I'm about to date, okay? But I understood that there were a lot of emotions that came with one leaving, anything of the former, and then also in the process of unlearning toxic traits, the gratification that I seek from the world, how people perceived me, just all of those things. And like I said, it took time because I moved here 4 years ago, or almost 4 years ago in December. Um, and I can tell you that those things didn't happen in the first 2 years.
Right.
It just,
Right. Now that's powerful. And I appreciate your vulnerability because I think it speaks to a couple of things that I believe I want to pull out of your answer. One of the principles that I share in my book is everything has a season. And the layers to that point you just spoke to, because number one, I have to make sure that everything in my life has its own personal value to me. Like the job that I'm at, the hobbies I'm doing, the people I'm hanging out with, like all of that needs to be evaluated. Just in the sense of, okay, is this, at least how I describe it, is this moving me closer to my dream? Is it pulling me away? Or is it just keeping me in neutral? And
100%.
the reality is not everything needs to be moving you forward because that's how you can end up burnt out, overwhelmed, that type of thing. But at least like I'm just aware of like, hey, when I watch TV or whatever, that is a hobby that is valuable to me because I get to rest, but it puts me in neutral and that's fine. But at least I'm aware of it, right? So on one level, you spoke to that, but on the second level, now I have to align that personal value that I find just in that personal identity to me, right? I now have to line that up with the season that I'm in
Yeah.
because the Bible talks about there being three seasons: the season to gather, a season to hold, and a season to let go. And so now it's like based on whatever season I'm in and whatever personal value, item, task, relationship, whatever it is, like all of that needs to be evaluated. And if there's anything that is out of line, then it has to go. not because, the relationship wasn't nice or there weren't good memories or whatever it is. It's just, hey, this is a season where it served its purpose and it's no hard feelings, right? And that's where you just deal with the ability to leave things well. And I think that could be a whole topic in itself. But but I do believe that just overall, just understanding in this topic of unlearning, it's like figuring out, okay, what season am I in? Like, what season am I in? And then allowing that to help with, the identification of, all right, what do I need to unlearn? When do I need to unlearn? And it also kind of helps with that patience piece that you were talking about.
And yeah, because that's so important. Because when you are in a season, who wants to take baggage into a season that is meant for you to be flourishing? Right? Like if you think about it, you delay things because you're not able to break free from a cycle that was not for the season that you're currently in. And I think when we are able to sit down and evaluate, like self-evaluate, like I always talk about this with my clients, like self-awareness. Like I'm grateful that actually I get some pretty self-aware clients. However, they just sit with it. They just like, okay, I know I do this. I know I do that. And it's like, all right, well, that's why you're here. Okay, cool.
Right.
But it's like once we have this understanding that, this season of my life, I am going to have to cut out some things. I am going to have to create space for God to come in and prune some things because there's some things that in our power, we just can't do it. We're not going to let it go. We may not even have the foresight to know that in this season, we're actually going to need to let something go, right?
Yes.
Until a moment comes, until you get a revelation, and then you look back and you're like, oh my goodness. Like, I don't know about y'all, but if there were some things in my life that I was like, I will say, it took me a while to give God my full yes, because I was like, I know I'm not gonna be able to give that up. I'm
Wow.
not gonna give that. I can't say no to that, so I'm not gonna give my life to Christ. I literally said that out of my mouth. And it wasn't until I was fed up with myself, fed up with my sin, to where I said, thank God for people who plant seeds, called my sister who has been walking with God for a long time. And I said, you know what? I think I want to do it today. Like, I need to do it today. Like,
That's
today
what I'm
is
talking
the day
about.
because I'm tired of acting like I'm by myself. I'm
Wow.
not in this alone. I'm not called to do this life alone. And so yeah, I know I kind of went on a tangent
No,
there,
no, but I think you're on to something really powerful just because, unfortunately, a lot of people aren't as self-aware as they need to be. But yet they're experiencing the symptoms of a lack of identity. They're experiencing the symptoms of, just going through these negative toxic cycles, and they're dealing with all the pain, but they're doing a whole lot of band-aid treatment
but
instead of just going to get surgery.
get that surgery.
Talk about for the person that is unaware, they are not aware of just self, right, and be able to really leverage, the tools that we just talked about previously. What are some of the symptoms that somebody who, is dealing with these negative and toxic cycles, what are they experiencing, so that way you can kind of hopefully give them lens like, hey, you need to do some self-evaluation.
Yeah. So your question is, what are the symptoms, you said?
Correct. Yeah. So for the person who, they're like, all right, well, I feel like I'm self-aware, right? But they're really
Uh-huh.
not. But yet they're in these negative cycles. What are they experiencing every day that frustrates them? Whatever the feeling is, whatever the emotions are, like based on your own personal experience as well. Just like, what are those?
Fear of offense. You're literally just always offended. You're always offended when you have people in your life who are speaking life over you. They're speaking new insight, new perspective. It may not be what you're supposed to do, but if people bring to you things and they're like, "Hey girl, I noticed that you haven't been answering your phone and we used to talk all the time," or I noticed that you say you're going to do something and then you're not actually doing it. Like, thank God for those people, first of all. But also, like, if you respond to that with just like, that's just who I am, or that's how I'm changing this season, or this is what I need to do in my life and you don't need to tell me, or you don't know, like, whoa there.
Oh
I
yeah.
love you. Remember that. I love you, and I'm telling you this because I love you. So you're in a state of in a spirit of offense when you, or you have a spirit of offense when you are kind of in denial. I think like a lot of people on social media say like delulu
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
about certain situations because we really can be. And we've all been there at some point in our life where we will not just see the red flag. And it doesn't have to even be a relationship. It can be a red flag in your job. It can be a red flag in your habits. You know that social media, you know that person's page pisses you off every single time you see it. For the people who be in people's comments talking bad, right? They know that they don't like that person, or they know that something rises up in them when they see that person on their timeline. Do something about it. Like that's how you know. And then you're offended at this person who's living their life. Like, so that is my blanket answer. I don't even think there's like a whole bunch to it because it's like the telltale sign. Every person I've worked with, and even in my own life, where I'm just like, this person is offending me, and they haven't done anything to me really.
Oh my goodness. So many good things. So why do people resist change if they're experiencing these just negative toxic cycles? Why?
They don't have a foundation. They're wish-washy, double-minded. Like, I think when we resist change, it's because one, we have a lack of faith, right? We don't know what's next. We can't see what's next, so we're just gonna stay. Like, this is what I know, even if I don't like it, right? Whether you're self-aware or not, like whether I like it or not, I'm just gonna stay here because I don't know what's next. And so you need a foundation. You need to place your faith in something. You need to place your faith in something. You need to not necessarily have, build your confidence because that's something that I lacked. And you need to, what liberates you? Start doing things that liberate you. It doesn't even, you don't have to make money from it. Nobody even needs to know that you're doing it. You need to get out of the norm for you. I know for me, I was very vanilla. I would do the same. My routines were actually, I think routines are great, especially as someone as a goal setter. I do think routines are good. However, it can also be a barrier. It can be a barrier of what's next because you don't let anything infiltrate, right? And and stuff infiltrate, I would freak out. I would be like, my whole day would be ruined. And I'm just like, goodness, that's not freedom.
Yeah.
That's not freedom. So you have to get out of what's normal, even if it doesn't have to be something big, spontaneous. It can be something that is free. Just do something that you haven't done and just see if you like it.
Yeah.
Like it
No,
really
I
is.
love that. And it's true because we call that just disruption. Just disrupt yourself, disrupt your schedule, disrupt your rhythm. Like you have to disrupt yourself in order for you to truly, walk in
Mhm.
all that God has for you. When you think about just unlearning, just that way you can actually break these cycles. Because I think ultimately, I was going to ask you, how does somebody actually break these cycles? But the reality is, it's disruption. Like disrupt yourself. So, how does someone build the courage to do that?
Mm. You have to identify. You have to be humble. You have to be humble. It's really hard to gain courage when you don't realize that like you need courage. Does that make sense?
Break it down a little bit more. I think I know what you mean, but break it down more.
It's like, how do I know what I need if I don't realize that what I'm doing isn't enough? Like, we're gonna get spiritual here, right? Like, how do I know I need Jesus? Because nothing I could ever do, ever in this world, right, would keep me from the fiery pit without him.
Right.
That's what I mean. It's like, how do I know that I need confidence? Because I need to gain confidence or build confidence. Because what I'm doing right now isn't leading to confidence, right? But you don't even know you need confidence if you don't know what are you going after? We talk a lot about like building this lifestyle, or even like for me, becoming academy. I talk about like, okay, you want to aspire to do something, we'll start doing it right now. So like, what is that lifestyle that you put on your wall, you post it, it's in your brain, you can see it. Who does that person show up as every day? that's how we build confidence, right? Like we build confidence by showing up despite in spite of.
Right.
And I think that showing up builds confidence, builds courage. You have to do it once. You have to start. You
Yeah.
have to start. But again, I'm always going to point to community because the people you are around, they have a huge, huge, huge impact in your journey to your identity, but also just that courage, those confidence building moments. Like if you don't have people who love you and you trust, I should say, around you, like it's important. It's really
Yeah.
important.
The word that was coming to me as you gave your answer was vision, where in once someone identifies they're in these toxic cycles and they know, okay, I need to do some self-evaluation. In that self-evaluation, they need to spend time creating vision because vision, in at least how I understand it, that is how we structure and base our entire lives. That this vision needs to be something godly, it needs to be something spiritual, it needs to be something from God, but it also is, just earthly, something personal to you, right? And that's where I think people will start finding that freedom when it's like everything that I'm doing, it's building a future, it's building a lifestyle, it's building, just like it's just building something that I care about that also will be a blessing to others, but you don't get there without self-evaluation. You don't get there without unlearning. You don't get there without disrupting yourself to do what you were talking about, where it's like, okay, I'm showing up as that person that's building that vision. And to even add on to the confidence point, I think it's showing up and showing up often because I think so often when we want to build confidence, it has to be more than just, okay, I did the right thing for like 1 week. It's like, no, I'm doing the right thing and like I'm burning the boats. Like there is no other options. Like this is just what I do now. And I think, when it comes to building confidence, it's like in the spiritual, it's okay, I'm affirmed in who I am in Christ. I know what God has blessed me to do, called me to do, and all these exciting things. But it's like the actual work that I'm doing on a day to day basis naturally backs up this confidence that I should have. Because I find there's a lot of people who they can be as confident as all can be, but they have absolutely no fruit up from their confidence. And it's like, okay, so you're confident, like you should be confident enough to the point where there's execution. You should be confident enough to where, if you need to get help, then you actually go get the help so you can overcome the negative cycle. Like these are the types of things, and this isn't my opinion, but when we talk about, just actually having confidence, like there should be some fruit from that confidence. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense because we don't also recognize that there are some illegitimate things in our life that we are holding on to as firm truth, firm foundation. Like we are holding, like when you talk about that confidence that doesn't bear good fruit, like that is false, right? Like it's not really founded on um I'll say when people have false confidence, I have found in my experiences that it is based on the things. But confidence is within, right? So I'm not gonna place my confidence in something that I'm able to get from any Joe Schmo off the street for me. And so when I feel like people's confidence isn't based on like who they are, their personality, like not even their personality, but their character, I should
Mhm.
say,
Yeah.
um, that tells a lot. But no, I'm so glad that you pulled out that word of vision though, because I know that I'm a person that I'm just like I can speak to situations, but being able to pull out that one word is going to help so many people because you're so right. Like when you like even when I was talking about like who you aspire to become, like that's vision.
Yes.
And often that vision is bigger than you. Like Trey said it. It's like it's beyond just, yeah, you might like to do it. Cool. But like actually that vision is to serve others.
Yeah.
So if there's someone even listening today where they're like, I don't really know my purpose. I don't know my gifts. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm kind of just going through life and kind of hoping that God, leans me one way or the other. Like, hold on to those moments where you are in situations and you are serving others. Literally just start there. Because even in you serving others, you grow intimacy with God and he will reveal the vision he has for you. So yeah.
Wow. No, that's so good. And I think, that's the perfect thing. Like, to me, vision is the separator between the great and the good. It's the separator between the high achievers and the mediocre. Like, literally, if anybody wants to truly take that next step in life and truly break these cycles, when you create a vision that at least as I describe it, it needs to benefit the kingdom of God, it needs to benefit others, and then it benefits you, and you truly pursue it. Now you've given yourself the fuel using your passions and your talents and your gifts and everything like that to really just go out and build, and you'll be fulfilled and you'll have everything that you need. Um, and that's where a lot of these like negative habits and thought processes and things like that will fall off, where you won't even want to do a lot of the negative stuff. And it becomes very detailed work to do the unlearning at that point once you have a really good vision, because you're going to be able to see the fruit of your labor and say, okay, wait, like, it's better than it was, but it's not quite what I see it to be. So now let me bring somebody in who can look at a blind spot of mine to say, wait a minute, like, you have this wrong view about people. You have this wrong view about wealth. You have this wrong view about, the church or business or whatever, right? Because I mean, we all have our own built belief systems, and
Sure.
we have to deconstruct them. That's basically another word for what we're talking about with unlearning. Just so that way we can properly construct the vision that is inside us that matters to us because we've taken the time to self-evaluate.
I think my word when I'm just even thinking about our entire conversation is like you have to be committed to breaking the cycle. You have to be committed to doing the work, right? Because sometimes even I have clients who have been like, Lauren, like this is what I want to do. But even the vision for some people, right? Like I think as athletes, even we kind of have this built-in engine. And some people may not have had an experience where they, had to kind of like get outside of what they thought they could do and push through all the way. Like at a young age, like people are not really doing that. And if you were an athlete or something like that at a young age, you kind of get that like those training wheels taken off pretty soon. But it's this commitment to yourself. It's the commitment to the vision that is going to help you build confidence, help you gain courage to do the things and get in and will there be times where you are actively pursuing this lifestyle and you're not going to be courageous to go do something that is required? Yes. And in that, there is still learning. There's still process that just maybe you're not there yet and you're requiring something else in that season. Again, back to the seasons thing. Like, I think grace is needed when you're breaking these cycles because we've been and you don't even know. There's even in my experience, there have been things on me that I have been experiencing and I'm like, this doesn't even feel like mine. And the Lord had to reveal to me like it's not yours. Like a vulnerable moment. Like I've had addiction on both sides of my family. And for some reason, I'm like, I know, I'm aware that I have this. I'm aware that, when I was in like grad school and stuff and I'm drinking and I'm like, I'm fine. I could do this. I could do that. Like, there was never an attachment there. But even the awareness, right, that is in my family requires a commitment to break.
Wow.
It requires me to not act casual with this cycle, right? And I think even in that realization, it makes me go harder for the things on this world. It makes me, and when I say for the things of breaking off the things from this world, like this detaching from the things of this world. And so I just hope I hope that helps someone because I don't think we understand the weight of what it is that we're breaking either. And it does require more.
Yeah, and I think even too, like, we have to truly become cutthroat. Like, I love that word commitment, right? Because we definitely have to be committed to breaking these cycles. But in the actual process of this commitment, right, in terms of like the day to day, what this commitment looks like, we really do have to become cutthroat, right? Like, if you're aware of these really big mountain size, Goliath size toxic cycles, it's like, no, I have to be very cutthroat about getting this out of my life,
Yeah.
just because of the spiritual ramifications, the familial legacy impact of it, but also just personally, it's just like I'm tired of being sick and tired. like Like I'm
Right.
tired of it, right? And it's just like, no, I have to be so committed that I am like rigid when it comes to whatever this cycle that I'm trying to break in this season. And
Yeah.
so now you shared a couple of very vulnerable points, and I'm so thankful for it because I know that that's what people need to hear. Um, what are some practical ways for somebody who's listening to us right now? We're talking about, stepping outside of our comfort zone and committing and, becoming rigid, cutthroat, self-discovery and all these things. What's like a really good starting point for somebody?
Yeah. Practically, I know I have conversations with myself. I journal. I write down questions that I have to God. I do a lot of writing. That's why I said find something, that you don't know if you like, or maybe something that you do like. Um, Also, tending to that childhood version of yourself has been very helpful to me. That's why I say get help. Because my therapist is great, and you do need to spend time with your child, with your childhood, the childhood version of yourself. And I think for the point of, this vision and understanding, like, because you may be starting at like point blank, first step, what does that look like? Um, I would advise you not to look out. I wouldn't paint my life or a vision after someone else. It's not for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
Yeah,
and I think the world tries to make us think that like all things look, because all things look the same, they are the same, and that's just not true.
right.
And so yeah, I think when it comes to that, like, you just get creative, be bold, right? Like, write some bold statements. At the beginning of the year, I call them faith statements, and they're just bigger than what I'm capable of doing. And even when you start to place your faith in that, you start to see like amazing things. So I would start there. I would start just by having real, raw, honest conversations. Like, I don't like that I do this. I hope that one day I'm able to do this. Like, if it's yours, it's already within you.
That's
You just
right.
have to nurture it. You have to take care of it. And it starts with taking care of yourself.
Man, that's so good. That's so that everything you just said reminded me of just kind of like my entire like transformative process in 2019, where it was just like I started truly just looking myself in the mirror and just having like the harder conversations with self. Like literally like I don't like this about me. Like, like just like really like saying, like talking that way to myself. Um but doing it in a way not of like, like beating myself up, but just kind of just saying like, no, like this is who you are right now. And even though we might not know how we got here, but this needs to change. And we're going to course correct starting today. And I think that's where it does become like, all right, let's just walk this thing out. And I love that practical step of writing. I know for me, it was like for me, I'm not even a big journaler. Like I'm not. That's just not for me. Like it's just not me. But for me, it was just like, okay, I'm all into execution. We're gonna do something today that is in line with this person that at least is better. Like because a lot of times when people are building vision, it's blurry. Like it's not you develop the vision into something super super crystal clear, compelling, and everything like that. But it's like for me, it was no. Let's just do something better. Like because when you have at least a good level of awareness of like what you're doing, you are smart enough to come up with, hey, I had this bad habit. I can come up with a better habit. I might not like what I come up, but like if I like the bad habit is drinking, I'm sure I can come up with a better way to spend my free time. Like it could be painting. I don't like painting, but we can objectively agree that painting is a much better habit than drinking, right? Like just like kind of go walking myself through that. But I think, just overall, just that step, because all of us can take that step to disrupt ourselves and truly break these cycles. Um, we're kind of coming around the corner with this, but obviously with everything that you know now, right, just with your process of unlearning and self-awareness and community and help and all these things, what would you go back and say to yourself, like when you were at the very beginning of your unlearning process, like when you started recognizing and seeing these negative toxic cycles, like what would you say to yourself?
Good question. What would I say to myself when I first started? Hmm, That you are getting ready to be on, join, whatever, a journey, a process that is never ending.
Wow.
It's never ending. Like, because when I think about my dream lifestyle, right, it requires more. Like, I just know it as a servant of God in the kingdom, it's going to require more of me. It's going to require me to deny my flesh. It's going to require me to take up my cross, right? And that's just never ending. And like we said, every season looks different. So it might be a little easier in one season. It may be the hardest it's ever been in another. And I think for me, when I wanted to start building my dream lifestyle, I wish I would have heard or I could have, just had the insight to say, like, you're not starting this with an end in mind. Like, you don't start, and granted, you have goals, yes, that have ends. But when you talk about vision and you talk about lifestyle, you're literally going until you die.
Right.
Like, right? Like
Absolutely.
we're trying to leave here with something, okay? Like, we're trying to get up out of here. When we do, prayerfully, we will be entered into the presence of the Lord, and we leave some behind for our folks, right? And we're not greedy and all these things, but like, this is a process, man. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so blessed to be a coach because I get to do life with my clients. And yes, they get to do some amazing things and cross things off list and be able to announce things that they're working on that they weren't even thinking about before they started working with. All of those things are awesome. But to see people progress, make mistakes, learn their lessons, like, and then go out and touch other people, like, that's the blessing. That really
Absolutely.
is the blessing.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. And so, I mean, Lauren, thank you so much just for all your insights. This is an amazing conversation. I know that people are going to be blessed by it. Just what are some ways if somebody's listening to us and they're like they want to connect with you, they want to learn more about you, where can they go?
Yes, so you can head over if you on Instagram, you can head over to at becoming academy underscore on Instagram. I have email info at becomingacademy.biz. I have a website as well, becomingacademy.biz. And yeah, you can hit me up over there. I am always just open to have conversation. I have clients, I have coaching clients, one-on-one coaching clients. I have hosted some workshops of my own and partnering with others, and I'm really just here to serve. I try to balance out all the things that I do as best as I can, but I'm not perfect. But with faith, I do strive to just serve anybody that I can, and even if that's just having a conversation, not even becoming a client. So I'm grateful for every opportunity that I get to speak and share my story and my gifts, no matter what platform that is, no matter what medium that is. So hit me up.
I love it. Now, one of the things I think is really cool, you have what's called laser coaching. Can you just kind of explain what that is so that way people can kind of tap into that?
Yeah, laser coaching is really fun. I am learning to like it because I'm a yapper, if y'all couldn't tell, right? So laser coaching is quick though. It is quick, short, 45-minute coaching session with me where we are tackling one thing. So people come in and they're like, oh, I have all these things that I have going on. It's like, okay, let's focus on one. So it's one thing you want to change, one thing you want to make new, and we attack it. We make a plan and we attack it. We create a strategy, right? So it starts with the consultation, and then I'm able to get an idea of what it is that we are changing, what we're making new, and then in that session, we attack it.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, if you are listening and that sounds of value to you, I would encourage you to connect with Lauren. All of her information is going to be in the show notes below. Lauren, again, thank you for just, again, all of your wisdom, insights. I know this is going to be valuable. I know it's going to help some people. And so, all I'm going to ask you to do, if you found this conversation valuable, okay, the only thing I'm going to ask you to do is I want you to share this with somebody that you know, love, and trust because they also have a dream that they're looking to build. And there are some cycles that they're going to need to break. There are some unlearning that's going to need to happen. And so I believe that this conversation, in the same way it's helped you, can help them. So go ahead and share that with them. In addition to that, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you can just stay up to date with all of our conversations here on the Dream Lifestyle Podcast. And with that, we will see you all in the next conversation. Always remember, the world changes when dreamers grow.